So if you look at the current affairs related to geography and internal security in this particular week, the first topic that was news is related to Shanghai deer. Shanghai deer has huge cultural significance and currently it is facing a threat of extinction as such. So if you look at the first of all Shanghai deer, it is found naturally in the state of Manipur, a northeastern state of India, and the importance of this can be understood from the fact that it is referred as even state animal of the Manipur as such. Shanghai deer symbolically by the local population is of grace and restraint, and it is linked with dance, art, sport and culture of the state as well. It is also referred by a popular name of dancing deer. And the reason behind this is based on its habitation. If you look at this particular picture, you can see Shanghai deer basically is living in the area which is floating wetland, basically floating grasslands, we can say Fumdis that you have in the Loktak lake of Manipur. So because these floating grasses are in the water bodies, the Shanghai deer has to make a delicate balance while it is trying to move as such. So basically we can say it is integral to Manipur identity and all, and that is why it is referred as dancing deer as well. Now if you look at the species, Shanghai deer, we have the name, scientific name of this deer species called as Rucervus eldi. It is kind of medium sized cervid, you can say. Already discussed, living in which region? You have the Imphal Valley, okay, Shanghai deer. So Imphal Valley, you can say the lake that you find here, Loktak lake. So that is where we have in the geography we have discussed about this. We talk about the Manipur wetlands and all. So endemic to Manipur. Endemic means it is naturally found only in the state of Manipur. Everywhere else where it is found in India, it is in the captivity. Captivity means located where? In zoo, okay, or biological park as such. Overall, male population is easily identified by the brow tine, basically around here brow. Okay, you can see kind of elevated structure. From there you have the antlers coming out as such. So this is to briefly understand about Shanghai deer. This Loktak lake where this Shanghai deer resides is also declared as a national park. UPSC has asked question actually, 2017 prelims. That is where question was asked about Kebul Lamjao National Park, where it is located, state of Manipur. What is the significance or unique point of this park? It is the only floating national park of India, world, located in the same region we have discussed. Floating meadows, this name is very important. What is this floating grass is called as Fumdis as such. And this also because of the lake-like structure declared as Ramsar wetland. Okay, Ramsar convention is applicable here. Location wise, this is location. This is your entire state of Manipur. Everywhere from all sides it is surrounded by hills. This area is what you call as Imphal Valley, and in the valley region you have the lake where you will find this Shanghai deer as such. So unique habitat. Population status, earlier in 1951 it was thought to be extinct because deer was not sighted anywhere else. But later on few species were rediscovered. Then in 2016 census it is believed that inflated estimate we have made. 260 was the census figure, but many geographers believe that it is much more lesser than this. And the current census conducted by Wildlife Institute of India has said that only 64 deers we have in the wild area, remaining 200 are in the captivity that we have discussed in the zoos and all. Question is that why we are talking about this deer? It faces severe threat and there is a possibility of extinction, okay, extinction ecological crisis. And the reason behind this is simple, the loss of habitat. Okay, the deer, as we discussed, live in the floating national park, that Kebul Lamjao National Park. What is going on there? Fumdis are continuously shrinking. Why they are shrinking? Several reasons are there. Two major reasons is due to pollution and sewage inflow. These Fumdis develop and grow naturally. But if pollution level increases, what will happen? They will not be able to grow as such. Thickness of Fumdis are becoming lesser and lesser. Right? So as per the report, for Shanghai deer to survive in this kind of floating grassland, as you can see from here, you need to have minimum what you can call as this 1.5 to 2 tons of this floating vegetation. But nowadays we are seeing that it is becoming much more thinner, 20-30% of that size. So due to this, what happens? If deer is not able to balance itself, weight will not be able to bear, deer simply drown. So recently we have seen or recovered many skeletons of this deer who have completely drowned in this area. Okay, drowning incidents we have seen as per the 2023 census. So due to drowning, what we are seeing, population is continuously declining. So unless and until we restore the ecosystem, what will happen? This population decline will keep on continuing as such, and we can again really face the extinction of this deer species. So this is overall we can say was the news. Second, what do we have? Bharov Battalion. Okay, government, the Ministry of Defense more specifically can say it has unveiled strategic military initiatives in 2025, and one of the strategy is to raise a special dedicated battalion called as Bharov Battalion. For the first time, such battalion was unveiled in the Army Day Parade conducted in the capital city of Rajasthan, that is Jaipur as such. Okay, overall, Bharov Battalion also has been raised as a part of new warfare doctrine that government of India basically has come up after the operation Sindoor as such. Okay, after taking into account the problems and challenges that we have faced. This will be example of a high readiness force. High readiness force means within a short period of time it can be sent and deployed in the theater of action, theater of warfare as such. So if you look at the Bharov Battalion, it is designed as a high speed, what kind of unit? Offensive unit. Offensive unit means it will not be deployed in the peacetime, and every situation is normal as such. Only when you have a risk of external aggression, when you have the attack by the enemies, Pakistan, China, whichever border we're talking about, then it can be deployed in quickest possible time as such. That is why we can call it as a rapid response force as well. So overall, it will act as a bridge. Actually, we talk about Bharov Battalion. We already have two battalion. One is highly specialized battalion called as this special force, and second is infantry battalion, that also many times is referred as Ghatak brigade. So if we talk about the position of this Bharov Battalion, it will be lying somewhere in between. Para SF, they have been designed to carry out operation beyond enemy line, okay, or beyond the border as such. Like in case of strike we have carried out in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, we had to cross line of control. There we sent which battalion? Para SF. So they have been trained, they can enter into enemy territory, carry out operation, whatever strikes they have, and return back safely. Infantry battalion, Ghatak battalion, they have been ready that in the case of full scale conventional warfare, they will be deployed to repel the enemy attack, okay, repel enemy aggression, capture prisoners of war, and to ensure that sovereignty, territorial integrity of India is not compromised as such. And somewhere in between will be placed what? Bharov Battalion. Okay, so they will also be placed along the borders, but they are more tactical in nature as far as the operation is concerned, more agile in nature, laced with modern technology, modern weapons and all that. Plus, if you have to deploy Ghatak Battalion, it takes a lot of time. Okay. On the other hand, Bharov Battalion can be deployed at a quickest possible time. So immediately we can deploy this, and gradually if we see that situation is not changing, okay, enemy continuously is aggressing toward India, carrying out aggression against India. In that case, we can further bolster our presence by deploying which battalion? Ghatak battalions. Okay, so they will reach later as such. So overall objective is that at a short notice operation can be carried out with this battalion for every kind of border contingencies, border related security problems that we have. The objective of the composition of this battalion is made up of how many personnel are part of every battalion? 200, 250 as such, and they are not drawn from any one particular branch of military. You talk about here, you have personnel from infantry, you have personnel from artillery, okay, personnel who are part of air defense system, signals, okay, for communication, all that you have battalion. So by combining all of this, we have developed an integrated structure as such. So self-sufficient in nature because of this composition, we can say. The objective is to raise how many battalions finally? 23, 25. Each battalion I told you has 200, 250 soldiers. So total 5,000 army personnel would be made part of Bharov Battalion. Current status is this. We already have raised 15 battalion as such. Corps level attachment, they are already being deployed in border areas. So where we have border? The Rajasthan, Jammu sector, northeastern India, as well as the Tibetan border we have in Ladakh. So that is where deployment is being done. But overall 25 battalions would be made part of India as such. Plus, we know that the modern era of warfare is also focusing upon what? Technology. We have seen in the case of Indo-Pak war also that rather than military confrontation between the personals, it was fight or war of what? Technology. Pakistan is continuously sending us swarms of drones, okay, aircrafts and all that. So, to ensure that Bharov Battalion is able to deal with such threats also, they are being specialized in carrying out which kind of warfare? Unmanned warfare. How? By developing their drone-based knowledge, drone-based capability and all that. Deep target capability by using drones. Plus, before you carry out attack against enemy, It's very important you are able to understand the strength of enemy. For that, what do you require? Surveillance. So they are also being trained to operate which kind of drone? Surveillance drone. And overall, the objective of government is that with passage of time, we should have how many drone operator in India? 1 lakh, 100,000 drone operator government of India want to raise in the coming future, because next war that we will have will be completely dependent on technology itself as such. Okay, we have seen Pakistan sending a swarms of drones. That means hundreds and hundreds of drones were being sent in India as such. So either to neutralize those drones or to target Pakistani territory, what would we require? Large number of drone operator. Plus also we have threat of what? India faces two front threat, Pakistan threat and China threat. So if both forces are working together, we need to have such kind of capability as such. So this is the overall objective at the long term basis. Third topic in news is what we can call as Pax Silica. Pax here means peace, and silica basically refer to silicon. Okay, silicon element that you have, and of rare earth element we can say. So peace and silicon. This is the initiative that was taken by US few months ago. But when this initiative was announced, India was not made part of it. But recently, US has sent its ambassador called as Sergio Gore. Okay, so Sergio Gore is saying that India would be invited finally to join this Pax Silica initiative as such. This is why the topic was in news. Earlier, I think in August, September, okay, they held the first meeting. That time, the other countries that are a member of this initiative, they were invited. Okay, they held the meeting, but India was excluded from it. So it is basically, we can say, a coalition that is led by US. US is the main country, leading country here, and overall the objective is to have control over supply chain related to which kind of minerals? Critical minerals. Critical minerals which today play a very important role in strengthening sectors such as artificial intelligence. Okay, in defense also, all these rare earth minerals and elements are being used here. Aircraft sector or aviation sector overall we can talk about. Electronics and electrical sector we talk about. So currently, if you look at the supply chain of the rare earth minerals, silicon also, it is dominated by which country? China. Okay, 80% of your control on the supply chain is exercised by China as such, and that is why we know that US and China are having rival relationship, competitive relationship. So US also want to develop its own alternative supply chain, and that is why it is bringing all this country which can play a very important role here as such. So it is nothing but we can say the end goal is to give a strategic push to counter supply chain concentration largely under control of China here. So that's the reason why Pax Silica was brought into picture. Again, what is Pax Silica? If you have to understand from examination perspective, how will you define it? US led, but not only US. What do you have? Multilateral. So multilateral means if you look at few major countries which are part of it, so you have Japan, you have South Korea, you have this Netherlands, Holland was the old name, Netherlands, you have Australia. So these are some of the major countries, because Australia also is one of the major producer of rare earth. So Australia, Netherlands, South Korea, Japan, US, these countries are largely focused upon both silicon plus having a convergence, having collaboration in the ecosystem that is dominated by what we can call as artificial intelligence ecosystem as such. To make, what is the objective? If you look at the website of Pax Silica, in the About Us section, they have stated that their end goal is to make what? Secure, resilient and innovation driven supply chain as such. And the reason behind this is very simple. When a tariff war began between China and United States of America, China has restricted many exports related to the rare earth sector, or we can say this particular critical mineral sector as such. So US understood that they still are dependent on China. So if they have to counter it, they will be able to do it if they have their own supply chain as such. So first summit was held in Washington DC, December 2025. However, in this summit, India was not invited. It was excluded because you know that after coming of Trump, relation between India and US has kind of become on a downhill. Okay, so that's the point. Objectives from examination perspective, mains examination perspective, many times when you have such partnership, they are asking objective of BRICS, objective of Quad, okay, objective of Pax Silica. Simple. Reduce dependence on single country. They're not naming China everywhere. They are using what term? Single country, dominance, concentration. But everyone understand it is referring to which country? China, because 80% is dominated by it. Protect AI critical minerals and technology. So here also, silica, they are naming it on the basis of silicon. Very important minerals. But it is not only focus on silicon. Here, under this initiative, focus is also given on what you can call as 17 minerals, which are referred as rare earth mineral as such, to overall strengthen the semiconductor value chain. And that is why you will see that countries like Netherlands have been part of this. Why Netherlands is included? Because Netherlands is not a producer of these minerals, but they have developed a very robust system or industry where these minerals can be processed as such. Taiwan, why Taiwan? Because Taiwan is processing this rare earth minerals and all that. Semiconductor manufacturing we talk about. After US, what do you have? Taiwan is one of the leading producer. So that is why they have involved all these countries, enable trusted nations to scale AI technologies. Because currently, if you look, there is a risk. Suppose you talk about any European countries or US itself, or European country if you talk about European Union, they cannot scale the development of AI technology. Why? Because they know that for raw material, they are dependent upon China. If any relationship or any kind of trouble occurs in relationship, what will happen? Raw material export can be restricted. The entire industrial complex which they have created, their production will come to a halt as such, right? So that is the reason here. Prevent tech leakage to countries of concern, because again we are seeing axis, China, Russia axis you have one hand, US, European countries axis you have other hand. If you have the technology that is dependent upon the Chinese material, okay, Chinese control, what will happen? Security risk can also be observed there. So such kind of technology remains within the groups. That is the overall objective. Trigger point, what led US to come up with such initiative is same thing. China refines 60% of lithium, okay, majority of cobalt, and they are dominant producer of the rare earth element, and thus the entire modern industrial complex which is catering to artificial intelligence, which is catering to renewable energy, which is catering to electrical vehicles and all that, EVs and all, they are heavily dependent on these elements. And China, as a tariff retaliatory move or retaliatory move against US tariff, has restricted the export of this rare earth magnet. So this is believed by expert has catapulted US to come up with its own initiative as such. As far as the India's position is concerned, told you India was not included initially. Two reasons are given officially. One, as far as the raw material is concerned, India has a limited critical mineral reserves. So not a very significant producer or reserve holder. Second, it has limited edge as far as the manufacturing of semiconductor technology is concerned, because for semiconductors also India is largely importing it from other countries. So neither from the raw material perspective nor from industrial manufacturing perspective, India is a major player. So officially that is why it was believed that it was excluded. Then the question is that why they have changed their mind, and why now US want to include India and make it member of Pact Silica? Because India is member of other similar groups also. For example, you have MSP, that is basically what you have, Mineral Strategic Partnership, something like that. So that is the point. India joined it in 2023, that was launched in 2022. Again, similar pattern you see. Earlier when MSP was launched, India was not a member. Later on it was invited to become the member as such. And likely there will be phased induction of India. And here also you will have advantage. Though India, it does not have raw material or industrial manufacturing complex, but what India has access to? Highly skilled labor pool, and that is how India can contribute by providing human resources in development of AI-based ecosystem, AI-based technology. So this is one of the major reasons why India's inclusion makes sense. Plus overall we can say, as far as the China is concerned, US considered India to be what? Ally, okay, as a anti-China group as such, right? So that is why India also enjoy membership in Quad group, that is US, Japan, Australia and UK as such, right? So that is why it is logical that India is also included and be part of Pact Silica. That is the second. Third, we have is smartphone source code and deep sea rare earth mining. For the two different this topics. So first, smartphone source code topic we look. Why was it news? Because several newspaper reports have stated that government is trying to take or ask for the source code from the smartphone manufacturing companies as such, right? However, as per this claim, Union government after that has published a notification and said that no such claim is true. Government of India do not want to have access to the source code of smartphone, source code of this mobiles. This was the clarification stand given by government. It also has assured to both global and domestic manufacturers, because such kind of news can hurt the investment in India, right? Currently we know that Apple is shifting its manufacturing from China to India as such. So such kind of news can create problem and can stifle overall investment. So government has to clarify and come up with the clarification that it does not want to access the source code. But overall, what we have to think or what we have to talk about is the concept of source code. Okay, what is source code? Because the term was in news. So in simple way we can say every smartphone, it is able to perform certain tasks, right? So how is it able to perform certain tasks? Because there is a core programming instructions that is put inside it during the time of manufacturing itself. So this core program instructions that control what? The operating system of a mobile phone, that controls how its hardware will function. Okay, volume button that you have, camera button that you have, all these buttons that you have, plus the ready-made applications that you have put inside the mobile phones, plus every application that you download on your phone. All of these are able to function because they are being controlled by program instruction. So this core program instruction which controls all the systems of a mobile and also ensures what you can call as secure and efficient operation is referred as what? Source code. Code means computer code. Every mobile device, every electronic device function because there is a code written for it, right? So this is what we call as source code as such. Now if you look at the source code in smartphones, generally if you talk about the Android phones, most of their source code are open source. Open source means everyone has access to it. They can use it to manufacture the phone. But majority of cases, some of the phones, some of the codes are there which are kind of, we can say this, depend on manufacturers. They add their own code, whichever manufacturer you have. Okay, for example, OnePlus companies that you have, Chinese company, Huawei you have, right, Google you have. So all of these have their own source code which is referred as proprietary software. No other competitive company have access to this. So understand, if government says that I want your source code, these companies can fear that what should be their intellectual property is being taken by government, and from there it can be leaked and the competitor can get access to it, right? So American company would be shying away from investment in India because they will feel that this particular code can be accessed by government of India, can be then leaked and can get accessed by Chinese companies, Indian competitor companies and all that. So that is why it is very important that government clarify. Hardware specific adaptations are made based on the company. So some changes we see there as well. Overall, what we can say, source code is important because it is kept confidential. Why? To protect trade secret, okay, to prevent exploitation and also to maintain cyber security, right? If the source code is accessed by other competitive countries, hardware of the other company can be compromised as such. So when you are clicking photographs, okay, when you're putting some sensitive data such as your information data related to your banking account and all that, that can also be what? Hacked, and then people will lose trust or faith in buying a smartphone of particular company if data breach becomes a common phenomenon. So that is the point. Now why source code disclosure is limited? Simple, because full disclosure is not seen anywhere. It's not that only in India government has said they will not access source code. No country has access to source code of a particular mobile manufacturing company as such. In only limited defense context, it is given access to. If suppose some terrorists have used mobile phones and all that, in that case they can be given access. Again, same thing. Cyber attack, malware exploitation, data breaches can occur there. That is why limited disclosure is made. Even companies like Apple, they do not share full source code. Android open source, majority of it is open source, but based on the manufacturer, because Android is what? Operating system. So many companies are there which are making mobile operating on Android. So these companies then put what? Some additional. The basic source will be same for all, but then additional based on manufacturers, they put the code which they do not want to share because they lose their competitive edge, right? Samsung, OnePlus, both are operating on the Android system, but the source code that Samsung uses will be very different from OnePlus. That gives edge to Samsung as such, okay, to the capabilities that it is able to do, the mobile phones that are able to do. As far as the regulatory position in India is concerned, currently we do not have any Indian law that mandates that manufacturers should disclose source code. Okay, so government by itself through executive action cannot take it. If government really want to take source code from mobile, they have to come up with what? Act, law, right? As far as the ITSAR is concerned, okay, 2023, its provision actually had that electronic devices used in India should give source code to government. But again, because of the same problem, investment can stifle, companies can have problems. It was amended in 2025 and the disclosure clause was removed as such. Okay, so that changes already had made or issued by this, you have Department of Telecommunication. It also has clarified that currently in India, government will not ask for or demand for source code, plus the legislation that we already have made changes that clearly establish the position of government as such. Okay, otherwise if we wanted source code, we would not have done that amendment. Okay, we would have kept it as it is. So that's the point. Then coming to the next topic related to the deep sea rare earth extraction by Japan. Okay, so deep sea mining, we have discussed that in oceanography. Briefly also deep ocean mining, we have talked about the what you call as polymetallic nodules and all these kind of things. So what is the significance of this extraction? If you remember in the class I told you that still it is an exploratory phase, research phase only. No country, no company is currently able to do mining at the deep sea. So Japan has been able to do it, and it is basically planning to send what? First experimental mission. It will become the first country to do so. So it has designed a vessel is called as Chikyu. Okay, so Chikyu vessel, it has been designed in such a way that it can perform mining at the depth of how much? Deep sea, we know 6,000 meters is the average depth there. So that is the point. What is the significance of this step and why Japan wants to do so? Again, to have security over a strategic mineral. You can link with the Pax silica also. Again, on the earth's surface, continental land masses, majority of your rare earth minerals are concentrated in few pockets only. Japan does not have that access. Why? Because first of all, it is very small island country, and on the island land mass, the availability of these minerals are less or almost non-existent in case of Japan. But at the same time, because Japan is an island country, it has access to a large ocean area, exclusive economic zone that you can call it. And on the ocean bed, we have discussed, you have large concentration of such minerals, metallic minerals and all that. Okay, cobalt, for example, we have discussed about. So that is why Japan, rather than dependent upon other countries, it is trying to what? Build its own capability by focusing upon deep sea mining or extracting these resources from the ocean basin. Which region Japan has focused upon where it will carry out mining? That is the Minami Torishima region. Minami Torishima. We can look at the map here. This area. This is the Japan, right? Main islands of Japan here. And here, if you look, this is a small island. Okay, far away from Japan. Japanese territory called as Minami Torishima Island. Okay, so in the Central Pacific Ocean, somewhere we can say, okay, around the Central Pacific Ocean, it is planning to do the mining. Now, if you look here, as per the Japanese report, they have stated 3 areas of interest. In the oceanography, I told you that there are a lot of sea mountains are there. Okay, they are growing because of volcanic eruption and all that. They keep growing in a mountain-like structure, but still they have not risen above the sea level. So at the top of sea mount, what do you find? Cobalt. So for extraction of cobalt, you do not have to go at the bottom of ocean. It is what? Very near. Somewhere at the depth of how many meters? 1,000 meters. So up to 1,000 meters you can go, and from the top of sea mount you can extract cobalt as such. So that is the first area of interest. Second, in every ocean we know, what do we have? Mid-ocean ridges, where the ocean plates are spreading apart, and there you have upwelling of magma that keeps on solidifying, okay, in a ridge-like structure. So they are known for which kind of deposits? Sulfide deposits. Polymetallic sulfide is a term we have mentioned in the class. Okay. Polymetallic sulfide. So here a lot of precious elements you will find, such as silver, such as gold, right? So that they can extract from where? Mid-oceanic ridges. Okay, so mid-oceanic ridges. And third and the last is at the bottom of ocean, which is the deepest one, 6,000 meters. There I told you what is the mineral referred as. Polymetallic nodules, where you have several minerals, manganese, okay, iron, cobalt, nickel. So for that, they are planning to go in the end stage where at the ocean bottom itself. So this is a ship. Okay, from ship they are planning to what? Send this kind of vessel. Okay, kind of robotic vessel that you will have. It will be sent down. It will be designed in such a manner that it is able to overcome sustain the pressure. Okay, pressure of the water around this area, and it will collect the minerals from here. Again, they will pull it back, and then purification, extraction, mine this we can say what you can say purification and all that will be done at the surface itself in the industry. So here collection of the mineral is being done. So this we have to keep in mind. 3 area of interest: sea mount, second area of interest is mid oceanic ridge, and third area of interest is the deep ocean bed or abyssal plain. So this is the region called as Minami Torishima region, remote Pacific island, located within what? I told you, every mineral resource that is under the EEZ of a country solely belongs to it. So Japan does not have to compete with anyone else. No one can claim that Japan is doing wrong or some other country can come and start exploring also. It will completely within Japan's exclusive resources. As per estimate, it is believed that this area has 16 million tons of mineral reserve as such, right? And two important minerals which Japan has discovered here. These are dysprosium and yttrium. Very, very important rare earth mineral. So dysprosium, the amount of dysprosium is so high that for 730 years they can keep on using it. Amount of yttrium is so high that for 780 years they can keep on using it, okay, based on current consumption and all that. So you can understand why so much interest, because once they are able to tap these resources, okay, for near future we can talk about, they will not have to worry about dependency, they will not have to depend on countries such as China, Taiwan or anyone else's. That is why Japan want to have their strategic autonomy and independence here, right? So that is what we have written. What is the strategic significance of this step? Reduce dependence on China. Why China? Again, because if you look at the bilateral relation of China and Japan, right, it is not good. They are considered as enemy or competitive country as such. They also have territorial dispute over Senkaku Island. Japan has currently control of Senkaku Island. China claims that it is their own territory. Same like Arunachal Pradesh, India, we have the problem. Plus China exercise dominance, already discussed, 2/3 of global mining, plus 90% of refined output. In the case of all the minerals Japan would extract from this particular sea region. And what is the reason why Japan want to have control over these resources? Because these have emerged as a critical mineral resource because of their wide use. Where they can be used? Electrical vehicles, and we know that it is the age of electrical vehicles. Diesel and petrol based vessels, gas based vessels are currently being phased out, and a lot of electrical vehicles are being manufactured. Consumption also is rising, demand also is rising, and Japan, we know that after US and Germany, it is one of the leading manufacturers of automobile. You have so many companies, Toyota, Honda, right, all that. So they will obviously get advantage. They will be able to roll out electrical vehicles and all. Then what do we have? Wind turbine, again renewable energy. Japan is island country. What do you have? Strong wind movement throughout the year. So if they are able to construct wind turbine, their dependency on other countries for coal, right, other resources, natural gas, oil will reduce. Third, electronics, and fourth, defense system. So all of these sectors are what? Very critical sector, important sector, and also we can say these are the next generation sector, evolving sector. So if you lose battle here, you would lose the future war also. So that is why dominance and the control over these resources become very important. Now if you look at the deep sea mining term itself, many times confusion arises that what we'll call as deep sea mining. Okay, because sea start from the surface, you go all the way up to bottom of sea. Deep sea mining is basically defined as what? If you are mining what, at what depth? Below 200 meters. Okay, that is why you have the middle oceanic ridges or the sea mounts and all that. Right, so this is very important concept. UPSC in prelims can easily ask it that what is the definition of deep sea mining. So any mining that you carry out in the sea below the depth of 200 meters will be classified as deep sea mining. Covers 2/3 of global seafloor. Same thing, sulfides, cobalt and polymetallic nodules are the area of interest here. However, mining not only at land but also in the ocean, if it is carried out, would have severe consequences for ecosystem, marine life, right? Because ocean also contains what? Large number of animal species and all. what is the concern? Marine biodiversity will be threatened because they are used to live in a calm area without any kind of right, noise disturbances and all that. If mining is going on, what will happen? You will have all the time movement of the vessels. You will all the time, what will happen? Extraction, that will create a lot of sounds, noise and all that. A lot of dust also will be generated here, right? Because how you are doing mining? You are digging, right? So a lot of dust will be created here. Plus you are using chemicals also during the process of this, you know, the descent and all that. These chemical spills and all that we'll see. A lot of ships will be plying all across the ocean, right, where you have mining is being conducted. So pollution level will naturally increase. Due to higher level of pollution, what we will face? Threat to marine diversity. Ecosystem will be disturbed as such. So many environmental groups, okay, both national and international groups, they have opposed such kind of steps. That is something that we see common. Here one organization you should know about, we have discussed in class also, called as IAS, International Seabed Authority. And this organization is headquartered in Kingston, that is capital of Caribbean island country called as Jamaica. So ISA also has very important role to play as far as the deep sea mining is concerned, because as per United Nations Convention, this is the organization which has been given the responsibility of coming up with what? Global regulatory framework. Okay, and the reason why we do not talk about this so much, because I told you no country currently is involved in deep sea mining. Japan will become first country, suppose, then obviously what will happen? It's not that Japan has some uniqueness. Other countries will also gradually develop this technology. So in that case, many, or I can say majority of the mines that you have in the deep sea are beyond what? Exclusive economic zone. So like in Central Pacific Ocean, this does not lie in the zone of any of the country here. So in this zone, what can happen? We can see increasing competition. Conflict can also rise, because China will say that I will use this mine. Japan will say that I will use. US will say I will use. In that case, there should be some kind of regulation. How these mines will be shared, okay, who will be given the control and all. So for that, we have created this International Seabed Authority as such, right? And in the case of India, if you talk about example of this, Central Indian Ocean, you have deep sea mines. India has been given right to explore these minerals, right? 10 years contract India has been awarded. Who has awarded this? International Seabed Authority. So as mining picks up in the deep sea areas, ISA will play a very important role. So its role will become significant also. Huh? 10 years, because how they will give? After 10 years, because it is not lying in India's exclusive economic zone. Okay, it lies in the Mauritius zone. So Mauritius agreed to only 10 years. Later on, it can be extended as such. Okay. Plus, if suppose exploration, India fails, in 10 years it does not yield any substantial result, then in that case what will happen? Some other country who are more capable can be brought in there. Like if suppose Japan proves through this mining that they are able to mine here, Mauritius would want to what? Japan to come there, because Mauritius does not have its own capacity. If Japan is able to extract minerals from there, it will get what? Economic benefit, right? If 100 tons of or $100 million of mines are or minerals are being extracted, royalty right will be exercised by Mauritius, because it lies in whose zone? Mauritius exclusive economic zone. So that is why it will benefit for Mauritius also. It will be source of revenue. That is why they cannot go beyond 10 years, because they need money. So that's the reason. Now, if you look at few questions from the topic we have discussed, first was with reference to Sung idea. Okay, so what is the correct answer? Endemic to the floating meadows of Kabul Lamjao National Park, listed as critically endangered species under the IUCN. Third, species as adapted to walking on Fundi's unique floating wetland ecosystem. Fourth, Kabul Lamjao National Park is designated as a Ramsar site. Okay, so what? Okay, it is endangered. So that is the incorrect. So what is the correct option? A, 1, 3 and 4 only, right? Then pack silica we have discussed. With reference to pack silica, consider the following statements. It is a US-led initiative aimed at securing silicon and artificial intelligence supply chain, right? That we have discussed, it is correct. Second, it seeks to reduce dependence on single country for critical minerals and semiconductor. This is also true. Single country, right? We have China. Third is China is a founding member of pack silica. Okay, obviously not, because this entire initiative is what? Anti-China initiative. Fourth, the initiative covers cooperation in semiconductor, computer infrastructure and energy grades, right? What is the correct option? B. 1, 2 and 4 only. Yeah, that is the China's part is incorrect. Third is deep sea mining we have discussed. It refers to extraction of mineral resources from ocean depth below 200 meters. We just have discussed, right? That is true. Okay, this is very important. I think most important fact, if you remember from this deep sea mining chapter topic, it should be this one. Okay, because otherwise people feel that it should be at the bottom. Polymetallic nodules, seafloor sulfide, and cobalt-rich crust are major mining target. Okay, these three things are there. International Seabed Authority regulates deep sea mining activities within exclusive economic zones of countries. No, exclusive economic zone of country, it is completely managed by those country. International organization does not have any role to play. Beyond EEZ is only where you will have regulation by International Seabed Authority. Fourth, environmental concerns relate mainly to biodiversity loss and ecosystem disturbance. Okay, that is correct. So what is the correct answer? 1, 2 and 4. Okay, so B. And so I think that's all. Okay, these are the 5 topics. So end of the session.